One of the areas of my life that I have felt such an impact in choosing this avenue of minimalism has been the decision to go paperless. It has made a massive difference in my life. Not only do we no longer have a giant filing cabinet upstairs that we kept having to move around because it never fit in with where we needed it to be, but I also have photos of my desk several years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I would actually take a photo and send it to my sister and say, oh my word, look at my desk. I'm going to sit down for an hour and really try to crank out some of this work to try to get this cleared out. I no longer have that happen. And it is because of this decision to go paperless. So today I'm going to be sharing these tips with you of how you can deal with paper at home. I will link in the notes below and at the end of this video my video on going paperless. If you want to make your entire home paperless, your office, whatever, you can grab that video and it will show you how to take all of those files out, to divide them up, and to begin to scan those in and go completely paperless. But today, I just want to share with you some tips if you want to start right now with the paper that comes in your home today, how that you can minimize that paper and begin the journey of going paperless. So before we talk about the paper that comes into our home, let's talk about how we can actually stop that paper from even coming in our home in the first place. I am going to link an article that I have found by a consumer advocate, and he's a consumer reports guru, he's a financial guru, Clark Howard. On his website, clark.com, he has an entire article about some different ways. Some of them are free, a few of them are paid. I have done the free ones, and I've found a substantial difference in the amount of paper that comes into our home. So these are websites that are legitimate websites that you can go to and you can put your information in, and it will stop a lot of the junk mail coming to your home. Another way that you can do this is by freezing your credit. Freezing your credit is a very safe thing to do, and it's also pretty easy to unfreeze your credit if you decide that you need the credit for purchasing something. But by freezing your credit, it keeps those credit card companies from kind of giving you that soft hit to constantly send you new advertisements. Now, your current credit cards, they will still send you junk mail, but those other cards that you don't have, they're going to stop sending you that stuff if your credit is frozen. So that's a really great tip to stop the paper before it even comes in. If you're like myself and you have a post office box, one of the things I like to do is I go in and I check it, and they have those little tables there with the trash bins. And if there is junk mail that has come in and it only has my address on it, it doesn't have any other personal information, I will just immediately throw that away in the post office, and that way I am done with that paper. Trying to stop the paper before it comes in is a really great way to start on that journey of being paperless in your home. But let's talk about some of the paper that may come into your home today. So what about the mail? You're going to go to your mailbox, or maybe it's delivered right to your door, and you're going to have that mail that comes in your home. You have a couple of options. You can have like a basket where you drop that in, or you can put it on the counter. And typically you drop it on the counter and then somebody else puts something above it. And that's where we end up having these clutter piles. Or you can take, and I've timed myself multiple times, I spend less than 5 minutes dealing with that mail. Typically it is less than a minute to deal with the mail. So we're going to look through the junk mail first. Go ahead, sift through that mail. Throw away the stuff that you don't need. We have a shredder that we keep pretty close by near my kitchen, which is where I typically will sort the mail. And I'm going to go ahead and shred anything that has private information in it. And that way you're getting rid of that immediately. The junk mail is gone. It's not piling up on your counter, sitting with something that's important that you need to deal with. So go ahead and get rid of that junk mail immediately. The next thing that may come in is a bill or some sort of statement. So what are we going to do with that? If this is a bill that is not an automatic payment, which I have a lot of my bills set to automatically pay, that is a great way to save myself time and money on any late fees if I may forget something. You can also set yourself to paperless billing with a lot of your bills. But if you get that paper bill in the mail, why don't you look and see if you have the 1 minute? I guarantee you it will probably only take you 1 minute to open it up, check it out. If it's something you don't need to pay, grab your computer and go ahead and quickly pay that, or even your phone. So many times we can just pay those bills on our phone. So if you have the 1 minute to take care of that, do it right then and then you're done with it and it's done and it's over. If you don't have the time to do that, I have a folder that I call it my to-do folder. And I will stick that in there. And then at least once a week, typically on Monday, I'm going to open that folder and be sure that I process all of the paperwork that's in that. But you have already went ahead and taken care of the majority of the mail that's entered your home. Now, the last thing that may come in is maybe some coupons. What are you going to do with those coupons? What if you actually want to use them? We get so many coupons in the mail and our kids we'll look at them. We try to not eat out junk food or a lot of fast food. And so they're like, oh, mom, look, we could eat at this place. Look at this coupon. But there are a couple places that I do like to have coupons to, like Popeyes. You could save $5 on a bucket of chicken. That's a great way to have an inexpensive lunch on Sunday. So I will save those coupons. What I do is I take those and I fold them up and I put them in my car. And I will put them in the console of my car. And if I already have a coupon there for Popeyes, I'll just take that out, throw it away, because I know this is the newest one. That one is probably already expired. So really be careful about the things that you want to keep. Ask yourself, am I really going to use this coupon or am I just keeping it because it seems like a great deal? If you're going to keep it, decide how you're going to use it and put it in the place that makes the most sense for you to actually use it. So what about a statement or something important that comes in that you're going to need to keep? You have a couple of options there. If it's something that you need to keep checking on, you can put it in, I call it my pending folder. And I will check that as well each week when I check my to-do folder and see, is this something that I'm waiting on? Is this something that I need to check back on? Or you can put it in your to scan folder. Say it's a bank statement that you don't get electronically, that you get a paper version of that and you want to save that. Then what you want to do is put that in your to scan folder. And that way, when it's time, you can scan that in. And you can see that literally within 1 to 5 minutes at the most, you have already completely eliminated that pile of paper that can easily build up on your kitchen counter from the mail that you receive each day. So one of the questions that I get asked often is, how often do I take that scan folder, that folder that I have that says to scan, and how often do I scan those things? Well, throughout my paperless journey, I've been paperless for, 4 to 5 years at this point. I have learned that I actually need to keep far less paper than I thought I needed to at the beginning. So that folder really isn't very large. So at this point, I only scan those in about once every 3 months. And again, you can check out that video about going paperless to see the way that I process that. So another way that we can have a lot of paper come in our homes is if your kids are still in school, especially if they're in elementary school. My daughter is in first grade and she is in an online public school this year. So all of our correspondence are via email, which is wonderful and amazing. All of our permission slips are via an app. I love that. But last year she was in kindergarten and she went to a brick and mortar school. And oh my goodness, every Thursday they would send home her folder and it would be brimming. I mean, sometimes it was almost an inch thick with all of the papers that she did. And while they're so cute and she's done all these amazing drawings and all of that, I want you to really think back to the day that maybe your parents brought you that giant box of things they had saved from your childhood. Do you really want all of that? Do your child a favor now and go ahead and process that. So what I like to do is I like to go through and see if there's something that she's written that's so cute, maybe it shows her personality, I might want to keep that. And if it's a piece of art that maybe has her handprint on it or something special that she's done, I may want to keep that as well. But typically I would keep from 0 to 2 pieces of paper each week. And that still is a lot of paper. Your kids are in school probably 40 weeks out of the year. That's still a lot of paper. So really be mindful about that. Another way that we would show her artwork without having to keep it all is we would put a piece on the side of the refrigerator with a little clip, or maybe you have a little place that you keep the artwork displayed in your home. And then she'd bring something in the next week and we would just trash that and then save this other piece. So we'd still be displaying her artwork because we love how creative that she is, but we're not keeping every single piece. So for each of my children, I have a box and I will put their stuff by grade. Obviously, elementary school is going to have the most. When you get to middle and high school, it's typically not very much papers, maybe a few awards that come in or something like that. So I'm going to keep just the most important things per grade, and I'm going to keep those in those boxes. And then when my kids are older, my plan is for me to make those all into a book and give those to them. And be done with all of that paper. So just think about that. You don't have to keep everything. Now, the other thing your children may bring in is a permission slip or something that you need to pay for. If we open that folder and right then take the 1 minute that it takes for us to sign that permission slip or to paperclip those $5 in or to write that check for those school pictures, we can absolutely save ourselves so much time. I would try to do that. She would bring that folder home on Friday. I would try to do those things and stick that immediately back in her backpack and be completely done with that. If we will do those tasks right away, we will save ourselves so much time in the long run. I don't know about you, but I've had that phone call from the school of, hey, you didn't sign Elsie's permission slip. Can you come up here and sign it so she can go on the field trip? I definitely want to save myself from that. So let's take care of it right away. Now, what about a note that you need to reference back to? Or maybe it's not for your child's school. Maybe it's just a wedding invitation that you received and you need to save that information. So you have a couple of options. If it's something that maybe you can put in your calendar, what I like to do when I get a wedding invitation in the mail, or maybe a save the date, I will, first of all, if I'm not going to be at the wedding, go ahead and order a gift for them and then send that right away. It'll usually have a link to the registry. Or you can go into your calendar, you can put the date in for that, and then in the notes section, save that link for their wedding registry that you've copied off of that invitation, and you can throw that invitation away. If you think you're still going to need to reference that piece of paper, grab a quick photo of it, and that way you've saved it on your phone. For the things for my children's school that I felt like I would need to reference back, they would send a calendar for the year, or they would send a note of what you did if your child was sick or something like that. I would scan that in using my phone to my Evernote app. I love Evernote. And I had a little folder in that called school, and I would save those in there. And then at the end of the school year, I was done with those. I would just trash those, move those literally to the trash, delete those files. And then the next year, I could just start over from that. So you don't have to keep those pieces of paper. And actually, if we save them digitally on our phone in some way, you are saving yourself so much time from having to dig through, find those papers that you know right where you can access them on your phone or on your laptop. So the last thing that comes in our home that sometimes we don't know what to do with are receipts. If you need to save receipts for tax purposes, then you need to put them in that to scan folder. What I really like to do on receipts that I'm going to save is I go ahead and make a little note at the top of the receipt, because so many times immediately in the moment you look at that receipt and you know exactly what it's for. But they use so many generic or their own kind of language when they put the words of what that item is, that later if you go to reference that, it may be hard to find it. And so go ahead and put whatever that is. Maybe it's an expensive electronic that you want to save that receipt for. I might write obviously I have the year, the date, all of that on that receipt, but I might write iPad for whatever it was that I purchased. And I'm going to put that in my to scan folder. If it's an expensive purchase, or if it's something for taxes or something that I want to save for the warranty, then I'm going to save that. Otherwise, I am going to throw those receipts away. Occasionally, if I buy something for my child that maybe is for a little bit older, I'm not sure it's going to fit them, I will again make a note of what the item was, and I will save that. And you have a couple of options to do. Something that my husband's grandmother does, and I love this idea. If she buys something but is not going to wear it immediately, she will actually staple the receipt to the tag. So when she takes the tag off, she knows that she's wearing that item, that she is going to be not going to be returning it. And so she can throw the receipt away as well. But another thing that you could do is you can put that in your pending folder. And then when you check that pending folder, I'll be like, oh, that was a Christmas dress I bought for Elsie. It fits her. It's great. I don't need to return that. I'm going to throw that receipt away. But the more that we can get rid of paper or create avenues for paper to quickly leave our home rather than just trying to save and hang on to everything, it is going to make our lives so much easier. Now, if there's a piece of paper that you think, oh my word, I'm really not sure what I need to do about this, take a photo of it. You can save it in your Notes app. If you have an iPhone, with your Notes app, you can easily, actually they have a feature where you can scan and it will turn it into a PDF, and you can name that little note whatever you need to so you can access it later. And you haven't lost that piece of paper while you've still shredded it or thrown it away. You still have access to that sheet of paper just in case that you need it. But I know that if you journey down this road a little bit further, you're going to be like myself, where I've realized there is so much paper I have saved through the years that I absolutely did not need to save. So I encourage you today, when you go to your mailbox, or like me, I send one of my kids to the mailbox, when they bring that paper in, I'm going to immediately take care of it. In 1 minute, I'm going to have that entire stack of paper processed, thrown away, taking care of whatever it is. And that way we will keep those piles of paper away from our kitchen counters. I absolutely believe that that is going to add margin to our lives for the good things. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell. You'll be notified when the next video goes live. And also be sure to check this video out on going paperless. We go a little bit more into depth here, and you can see some of the processes I use to be paperless in my home.